That is Federal Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland speaking to reporters this afternoon right here in Hamilton. I'm Vassy Kapelos. This is a special edition of Power Play. We're in Hamilton because this is where federal cabinet ministers have been meeting and will be meeting over the next day to plot out their strategic objectives heading into this year. The focus, though, as you heard from those comments and the questions largely directed at the minister, is all about the economy and really the prospect for a recession and what it means for the choices the federal government will have to make going forward. On that question and the debate and discussion around it, I want to bring in our front bench panel tonight. Joining me this evening, former Nova Scotia Premier Stephen McNeil. He's now a strategic business advisor for the law firm Cox and Palmer in Halifax. Former Deputy Conservative leader Lisa Raitt is here as well. She's the Vice Chair and Managing Director of Global Investment Banking at CIBC. CTV News political analyst and former NDP leader Tom Mulcair is with us, as is Toronto Star's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Robert Benzie, and the Globe and Mail's senior political reporter Marika Walsh is next to me at the cabinet retreat as well. Hi, everybody. Really good to see you. Marika, I'm just going to start with you really quickly because you've been covering the retreat for the whole week so far. Definitely the economy today, in light of that report from David Dodge, which said things are not so rosy, and that's going to impact the room you have to deliver on the promises you've made.
Yeah, and I think some mixed messages today, Vassy, on what that actually means for what the government's thinking about. They're both trying to make the argument that they are being fiscally responsible, that they are keeping in mind all of these pressures from the economy. But at the same time, they made a pretty strong case today from Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland that it was the time to spend big on healthcare, to spend big on the green transition. And so that means tens of billions more added to the budget in the spring. And it's not yet clear how that balances out or how that fits into a fiscally responsible budget, as they're saying.
Stephen, let me ask you, let me start kind of wind it back to the basics. Do you agree with the assessment that a potential recession or a more severe recession than anticipated would put additional pressure on cabinet, on the federal government, because it will decrease their revenue, plain and simple? Do you think that it will be the case?
Well, certainly it'll impact not only the cabinet, it'll impact Canadians. I think the last time we were on, we were talking about the fact that this was heading, we certainly know that the first half of next year will feel like that. Coming out of it, what do we do? I think the Canadians have made it clear they want the federal government and the provinces to invest in healthcare, strategically making those investments to improve access to primary care and delivering those services. The question will be, what does the government do to try to stimulate the economy? And I think there are other ways to do that. Marika mentioned about the green economy. One of the ways that they could do is streamline the process to try to get many of those precious minerals out of the ground in Canada that create jobs, generate private sector to make investments. Those are the types of things that I think will help stimulate and try to bring the economy forward, reduce inflation at the same time, help the bottom line of the federal government.
What kind of, I guess, though, Lisa, political quagmire is it for the government when you're saying, you do want to be more fiscally responsible? That's the way that they're characterizing it. I know, obviously, not everyone agrees with that assessment, but you say that, but you also want to make good on a healthcare deal, which as Stephen points out, and our panel did, like Canadians are anxious for. You also want to try and counter the IRA. You also want to try and develop, how do you essentially face all that and make quote unquote hard choices at the same time?
Yeah, so governing is hard, and I always find it interesting when I find myself in violent agreement with Stephen McNeil, but nonetheless, that's not the first time that's happened. I think that the danger, Vassy, is one having to do with how this government communicates this issue. You laid out all of the facts very, very well. This is not an easy road for this government to travel. However, you got to be really careful. You can't tell people that they're okay, they're not as bad off as they think they are, because they're not going to be feeling that. They're going to be feeling something quite different in terms of either inflation or in terms of a recession, people losing jobs, their kids not having careers. I mean, this stuff is getting really scary, and it's coming home. And you need to be able to say as a government, not only the notion that I've got your back, but you got to be able to say to them, look, here's the plan. This is what we're doing. These are the reasons why we're doing it. And then you have to execute on it. And they've got to really be able to walk that line of empathy, be proud of what you've done, but don't lean heavy on jargon and don't lean heavy on, some kinds of metrics that may or may not be meaningful to the average person.
And Tom, I mean, from a political perspective, I think that's a really important point that both Lisa and Stephen are making, like the way in which you talk about how you're going to handle this, you are going to also get it on either side, right? They've got the NDP coming at them at one end and the Conservatives at the other. And both of them are very focused on the impact of a recession or the impact of inflation right now or the impact of interest rates consecutively being hiked. So how do you navigate that politically?
Great point, Vassy, because both on the left and the right, people are saying the last thing we need is another increase in interest rates, and we're all expecting one tomorrow. So we'll see how that one plays out. With regard to the use of the media and the use of their time in Hamilton, I think the Liberals have been doing an amazing job. I think that Trudeau has shown that he's got an ability to read the room. For him to be backing Doug Ford's openness to more private delivery, you'd still use your Medicare card, but more private delivery, shows that there's been a change in Canadian politics. He's not sticking with an ideology that's been there for decades. They've also been trying their best to roll out ministers who have had the biggest problems. So Karina Gould and passports, and Minister Fraser and immigration. I mean, the jello was starting to firm up quite a bit in public perception. It's like, these guys, they've got good stuff, they talk well, but they're not actually good at managing the government. And I think that that perception is going to be very tough. So those are the twin things. They've got to show empathy and understanding for the average Canadian family that's going to get hit with these increased interest rates, because Canadians live on their credit cards very often. And they've also got to show that they're finally getting a handle on managing the government. I think the second one is going to be equally tough.
Yeah, Rob, your thoughts on how they navigate that?
Yeah, Tom makes a very good point. I mean, the Prime Minister is seeing that he's going to have to work with the premiers on this healthcare deal, as Stephen McNeil was talking about earlier. He's going to have to keep the NDP at bay. So that means delivering on some of the things that keep the confidence and supply agreement in motion. And at the same time, he's got the global uncertainty with war in Ukraine, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and commodity prices are up and down. I mean, there's a lot of things that are beyond his control, but the things that are within his control, I think Tom's right. I think the Prime Minister is trying to put as sunny a face on things as he possibly can. Because remember, Vassy, this is not a government that was built for austerity or restraint. This is a government that it likes to send people checks and likes to start new social programs and likes big government. Was elected on big government. I think they know that's who their voters are. But can they do that in an environment of austerity? I'm not sure.